Yes, welcome back. You're still watching Power Breakfast right here on Citizen TV. It's that time when we take a look at the headlines, and of course the biggest headline today is on the Daily Nation. Big guns seek poll rematch as independents. And in studio, we're privileged to have one of those big guns, former Cabinet Minister Ochilo Ayako, who's an aspirant for the governor's seat, Migori County. He unsuccessfully, or rather failed to clinch the ODM party ticket for that particular race and has opted to go as an independent. We'll be looking at that. We're also hoping to be joined by two other gentlemen who have opted for the same, going it as independent candidates. But before all that, let's take a look at another headline. Karibu sana, Waziri.
Thank you very much.
Of course, the other big headline has to do with NASA threatening to boycott the elections come August over this tallying row with the IEBC. There was a ruling last month that returning officers will give the final results, and that those results cannot be altered. But IEBC is appealing that ruling, and because of that appeal, which is yet to be determined, NASA says if at all it goes through, NASA will boycott the elections. Now, Ochilo Ayako, this is a big deal, and I'd want just to pick your thoughts on this. Raila and his team, they're meeting in Mombasa with a joint ticket, and they say they're protesting Chebukati's court appeal against the constituency returning officers' presidential result declaration as final. But I thought it's rather obvious that once results are declared at the constituency level by a returning officer, then that should be final. What is a big deal, really?
Well, if you remember the famous words of the late Kivuitu, and God rest his soul in peace, is that he couldn't say where his returning officer or where his presiding officers were. And he said that they were probably cooking results. To avoid that kind of situation, I think some people brought to fore the issue of use of ICT to transmit results. Again, in 2013, you noticed that there was a complete failure of ICT. The issue has been the fear that there is alteration of results that were declared by the presiding officers in the presence or in the process of transmitting them. That is the fear that has dogged our electoral system, and it's a big deal. I think there should be certainty, and I think that it should be final as announced by the presiding officer who did the actual counting. Otherwise, what the IBC chair finally declares as the result becomes hearsay. It's not first-hand information. It can get distorted in the process of transmission or in the process of being transported or being ferried to some other place.
Now, of course, the argument by IEBC and its chairman, Wafula Chebukati, is that he, as the chairman of the IEBC, is a returning officer in as far as the presidential vote tally is concerned, and that at the constituency level, yes, they are returning officers, but they should confine themselves to issues around the constituency or county. Does that hold any water as far as you're concerned?
As far as I'm concerned, yes, he is the returning officer, but he has no privilege to alter what has been declared at the polling center. At the polling center, that's where the vote is cast, that's where it's counted, and what is counted, if we are to remain faithful to the fact that every vote counts, and what has been expressed by the voter is what is the will of the people, then whatever is counted there, whatever is said there should be final. So basically, the chief returning officer, Chebukati, should just declare who won, but should not get involved in any paperwork or alteration, and should actually address the fears that most candidates have, the fear that most presidential candidates have when it comes to results leaving a polling center and turning up to be different.
Yes, and now because it's less than 90 days now to the elections, what risk do we face with such a court proceeding?
It is a very risky thing. In Africa, and specifically in Kenya, elections are a big deal. They contribute to the stability of a country. They contribute to what is called public justice. Every voter is a judge of political parties, is a judge of individuals, and individuals want to be judged and feel that justice has been meted out to them on the basis of how well they campaigned or presented their case. So when there is uncertainty 90 days to elections, I think it creates instability, it creates uncertainty, and this is not good. In my view, Chebukati, as the chief returning officer for presidential matters, should have found a way of living with the decision that had been made by the court, instead of creating, further conflict in the judicial process. This can also tear the judiciary, which is already suffering battery from various angles by politically charged litigants.
Okay. Well, now let's move to other matters, and of course the big one is about the independence. We'll be coming to that shortly, because one of the running jokes right now is that everyone wants to be an independent candidate, including husbands. They're opting to go as independent husbands now. But the other big story today is the high cost of living, and on the front page of the Daily Nation, they've actually just given us a list of a few items and their costs as we speak right now. A 2-kilogram packet of sugar is now retailing at 380 shillings, while in March, just 2 months ago, it was retailing at 280 bob. That's 100 shillings difference within a month or two. A packet of maize flour was selling at about 149 to 189. The price for a packet of milk has climbed from 45 to 80, almost double. A kilogram of potatoes was selling at 100 in March. It's now 150. Now, 2 days ago, the president, during his Labor Day speech, gave a directive for an 18% minimum wage increment. But do you think that even goes anywhere in terms of covering the rate of inflation, high cost of living? Because this is what Kenyans are grappling with.
No, it doesn't. Raising the minimum wage is not the best way of addressing inflation. Wages are part of the inputs when it comes to inflation. Generally, producers factor in the wage bill when it comes to pricing their products.
So it will just go up. As the wage bill goes up.
Yes, as you pay your workers more, you put it in the actual cost of the product. I think there are certain key drivers of inflation that need to be addressed, and one of the key drivers of it is actually public transport. If you look at Nairobi, for instance, I don't think anybody going to work anywhere is spending less than 200 or 300 bob a day. And if that is not addressed, then that person, even if you raised that person's wage to 20,000, that person is not going to survive. Anything that is being transported from wherever it is to wherever it is needed for purposes of production, the cost is going higher. And by letting by not addressing the public transport, the traffic jams and all these things, there are certain quick wins that can be done. But it's a complex thing that requires the attention of everybody. It also requires committed leadership and hard decisions to be made.
Yes, but looking at it, 90 days to the election, surely high cost of living, things going up by 100 bob. Shouldn't the opposition really take advantage of this? For the sitting government, this should be a worry, but you're not seeing like the opposition formation, coalition, or anyone within the opposition just actually bringing this to the fore and making it the main agenda for the
I believe that perhaps this week or next week you will see it out there. I believe that it's only was it last week that NASA, which is the main and viable opposition, only viable opposition, unveiled the presidential candidate, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Basically, they are still handling a few issues regarding how to approach Jubilee, which has had a presidential candidate and leadership all this while. Sooner than later, these issues are going to come to fore, and they'll be part of a public debate. And it is healthy if opposition party or opposition coalition and Jubilee debate on such issues, because basically politics is about the cost of living.
Yes.
It's about...
this should be the main agenda of the campaign.
It is the main agenda. People want a good life.
Yes.
People want
That's
to
why
be
we
comfortable.
elect you to become our leader, so that you can have an easier life.
Yes, so I want to see this as item number one of how are we going to reduce the cost of living? How are we going to make it bearable to that person who does not have the privilege of earning enough? So I think this should be the main topic. The other topics, of course, are issues relating to security. Other issues are unemployment and the runaway poverty, the debt. Those are very key issues that have to be addressed. If people are not addressing those issues and people are involved in tribal matters, we are getting back to a century that is long gone.
Yes, and of course, because we are in an election year, this is what everyone should be talking about. Now, one of those leaders who really want to help us address this, and that's why they're seeking leadership, is Bwana Ochilo Ayako right here. He's opted to go as an independent because he believes that he has to be the next governor of Migori County, despite failing to clinch the ODM party ticket for that particular race. We'll be engaging him and a few other individuals on why exactly they've opted to go as independents and what it means to run as independent, because that is one of the things that Kenyans are grappling with this time round. In studio this morning, we also do have the BIT band. We'll be getting to enjoy some music from them as we wait for the other guests to get into studio for the discussion about Big Guns seeking poll rematch as independents.